This girl had 9 billion and it all went down the drain. Take Elizabeth. Let me introduce you to Elizabeth Holmes, once hailed as the next Steve Jobs. Yeah, she even wore the black turtlenecks. In 2003, at just 19 years old, she dropped out of Stanford with a big idea, an idea so big, it convinced some of the richest people in the world to throw their money at her. What was the idea? A tiny box that could test your blood for hundreds of diseases with just a single drop. No needles, no big vials of blood. Just one. Tiny drop. Sounds like magic, right? Investors thought so too. Pretty soon, Holmes raised billions of dollars for her company, Theranos. At its peak, this company was valued at a mind-blowing $9 billion. Elizabeth herself was named the youngest self-made female billionaire. Theranos was set to revolutionize healthcare. Say goodbye to waiting for lab results for days or weeks, and hello to almost instant results. But, and there's always a but, right? There was one small, teeny, tiny issue. The technology didn't actually work. You know that saying, fake it till you make it? Well, she skipped the make it part entirely. But hold up, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's backtrack a little. Holmes was convincing. I mean, really convincing. She had the vision, the passion, and, let's be real, the charm to get people like Rupert Murdoch, Henry Kissinger, and even General James Mattis to invest and sit on the board of Theranos. We're talking about some of the biggest names in politics and business. She had everyone fooled. Elizabeth's pitch was simple. Imagine a world where you could prick your finger, pop the drop of blood into a fancy machine, and boom, you'd get results for hundreds of health conditions almost instantly. It sounded like something straight out of Star Trek. And who doesn't want to live in the future? By 2014, Theranos was on top of the world. Elizabeth was being featured in Forbes, Fortune, and pretty much every major media outlet, praised as the next great innovator. Celebrities loved her, Silicon Valley worshipped her, and investors couldn't throw their money at her fast enough. But behind closed doors? Well, let's just say it wasn't as futuristic as it seemed. See, Theranos' Edison machine, the device that was supposed to make all this magic happen, was a hot mess. It could barely handle a single test, let alone the 240-plus tests Holmes was bragging about. Imagine trying to run the entire healthcare system on a glorified toaster. And if you're thinking, well, surely someone must have noticed, you're right. The employees at Theranos were starting to freak out. Some were like, this thing doesn't work. But here's the kicker. Elizabeth didn't back down. In fact, she doubled down, pushing her tech into Walgreens stores. Yes, that's right. People were actually walking into Walgreens thinking they were getting life-changing blood tests, when in reality, they were getting tests so flawed they were about as useful as a horoscope. Now, if you're thinking, this can't go on forever, you're spot on. Enter John Carreyrou, an investigative journalist from the Wall Street Journal who started digging into Theranos. Carreyrou wasn't buying the whole revolutionizing healthcare shtick. After speaking with whistleblowers from within the company, he published a bombshell article in 2015 exposing the truth. The machines didn't work, the results were inaccurate, and Holmes had been lying to investors, patients, and everyone else. When this story hit the press, the entire house of cards came crashing down. And it wasn't a soft landing. The FDA and SEC swooped in. Investors started suing. Theranos' board of directors, once made up of political titans and billionaires, suddenly realized they'd been conned by someone barely old enough to rent a car. Lawsuits piled up faster than Holmes could put on her next black turtleneck. By 2018, the company went from a $9 billion unicorn to, well, zero. In the middle of this legal storm, Elizabeth Holmes kept smiling. She even tried to rebrand herself, still claiming she believed in the tech. But, belief isn't exactly a substitute for facts, Elizabeth. Fast forward to 2021, after years of investigations and trials, Holmes stood before a court and was finally convicted on multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. In January 2022, the woman once called Silicon Valley's Golden Girl was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. So, from billionaire to busted. Now let's break this down. Elizabeth Holmes wasn't just trying to scam investors out of their billions, she was playing with people's lives. Patients were making decisions based on faulty blood tests. A pregnant woman was told she might miscarry. People with cancer were given wrong results. We're talking about real consequences from all those lies. So, how did she pull this off for so long? Charisma. Holmes had this ability to make people believe they were part of something bigger. Her intensity, her speeches about changing the world at all, sucked people in. But charisma doesn't make science work. Facts do. The Elizabeth Holmes story is a cautionary tale for the ages. Don't believe the hype, no matter how shiny the package. And when something sounds too good to be true, yeah, it probably is. Holmes might have had her moment as Silicon Valley's darling, but the truth caught up to her. And now, she's trading in those black turtlenecks for orange jumpsuits.